Hi there, algebra students again. 10.3, operations with radical expressions. Objective to simplify the sum and difference of a radical expression. To simplify the product and quantity of radical expressions is your other part of your objective. Some vocab just to start out with. Like radicals, has the same numbers and variables under the radicals. You're going to need that to be able to add and subtract. And that's what I kind of made a mistake in my last video a little bit about. I was starting to think along those lines. And just a second, I'm trying to look to see if you guys got a quiz on Monday or not. And I think you do. Yes, you do. You guys are getting fair in this book. I think basically next week we might get pretty well chapter 10 done, which leaves us most of the month to get 11 done. And if we get pretty well done with 11 before the end of the month, I'm looking at giving you guys probably most of May is kind of, we'll get through 12 probably, but we're not going to push it overly hard. I think there's only 6 sections in this chapter. So yeah, next week we will be done with it by lesson wise. We'll come back, we'll maybe review one day, we'll do a test, then we'll get started into that. We'll probably almost have the quiz for chapter 11 before the end of April is kind of my plan. And then first part of May we might be able to get done with chapter 11. Chapter 12, I don't remember how long that is, so bear with me. It might be a shorter one. No, actually it looks fairly long and it works with statistics. It's not one that I'm extremely, we have to get through. It's got 8 sections, so realistically, we'll see how it goes. We really probably will finish this book. But anyway, combining like radicals. So we have 7 square root 2 minus 8 square root 2. Now, first thing you want to see, do we have like radicals? Well, yes, in this case we do have like radicals. So then we can add and subtract. So this one should end up giving us negative 1 square root 2. Okay, now the second one, we have 5 square root 5. And you guys didn't even get to see the first one. You get 5 square root 5 plus 2 square root 5 equals, and if you guys need to, go ahead and write that other one down. But you guys kind of see what I'm saying. These, you have like radicals, which means these are the same. So then you can add and subtract your numbers out in front. And that's how I end up getting my negative 1 square root 2. Here we have 5 square root 5 plus 2 square root 5. Radicals are like, so we can add, we get 7 square root 5. Easy enough, right? What's under the radical does not change, but if they are the same, you can add the numbers in front of them. Just FYI. Okay, what is the simplest form of this? Well, we have 4 square root 7 plus 2 square root 28. We don't have like radicals, but can we maybe see if we can make this one work? Well, we can break this into, from last section, square root of 7 times the square root of 4, which then would give us 2 times 2, which then gets us 4 square root 7. 2 times 2 would give us 4, And we can't do anything with the 7, so we end up with that again. And we should get 8 square root 7. Okay. B is 5 square root 32 minus 4 square root 18. Well, 18, like last section, we could break that down in 9 and 2, multiplying them together. 9 would give us 3. 3 times 4 gives us 12 square root 2, negative. Okay, this one we could do 16 and 2. And like I said, it's just like last section. We're looking for perfect square roots. So 4 times 5 is 20 square root 2. Subtract them. 20 and 12 is going to give me 8 square root 2. That is my answer for that one. Okay. What is the simplest form of each expression? You have the square root of 2, square root of 2, and you have the square root of 6. And this we're multiplying multiplying these. So you have the square root. So this is all together square root of 6 plus 5. Distribute. So take this times that, so we get square root of 12 plus 5 square root 2. We're probably going to want to see if we can get this where it works. You get 4 times square root of 3. So square root of 4 is 2 square root of 3 plus, we can't do anything with that, so we got 5 square root 2. Can we combine anything at that point? No, we cannot. Okay. We got square root of 11 minus 1 or 2, and this is squared. Which, if you remember what we did when we were working with FOIL, we're working with a special case here. You have 11 minus 2 times square root of 11 minus 2. Multiply these together, you're going to end up with square root of 11 squared, which then cancels this out and you just get 11. You're going to do outside FOIL, so you get negative 2 square root of 11 minus 2 square root of 11 again from the inside here. And then you're going to get plus 4. So you're going to end up adding this together where I can add the 4 and 11 together and get 15. I can add these together because I got like radicals. So I add those together and I should get negative 4 square root 11. Okay. One more of those, and hopefully maybe you can get it to where you see it better. Okay, you get the square root of 6 minus 2 square root 3. This one's getting a little more challenging. And then you got 4 square root 3 plus 3 square root 6. Okay, FOIL these, so you'll first, so you're going to get 4 square root 3 times square root of 6. Well, I can multiply what's in the radicals together. You get 4 square root 18. Okay. Then you do outer, well, you're going to get the square root of 6 times 3 to the square root of 6. Multiply what's in the radicals together, so you get 3 square root of 36. That's added on. This times this, which is going to get you a negative 8. Multiplying what's outside the radicals and what's inside the radicals, which is 3. Then, or is going to get me 9, I should say. 3 times 3, my mistake. And then you're going to do last, which is going to get you negative 3, or negative 2 square root 3 times 3 square root 6, which the outside is going to get you negative 6 square root 18. Okay. Inside here, I'm going to combine these two first. You're going to get a negative 2 square root 18. I might not be done with that yet, but we'll see. Plus, right here, you'd have 3 times 6, because that would get me square root there, minus 2, or negative, or 8, times 3. And we've already took care of that. So we're going to get 18 minus 24. Here I'm going to do some things here real quick. This is 9 and 2 square root multiplied together, back to yesterday's assignment. You can take the square root of 3 times, which gets you 3. 3 times negative 2 gets you negative 6. You can't get rid of that, so you get square root of 2 plus, well, in this case, you're going to add these two together. 18 minus 24 should get you a negative 6. There is your answer right there. Okay. Now, what is the simplest form of this? You have 10 square root 7 on the bottom minus the square root of 2. Okay. This is where it becomes a little bit challenging. You remember we can't have radicants in the denominator. So, first thing we're going to do here. Oh, one thing I did forget to do, or I read wrong. And that's why I don't necessarily like this. This would be 10 over square root of 7 minus square root of 2. Okay. One way to get rid of this is the conjugate. The conjugate is going to be the opposite of this. Well, you're saying, well, what's the opposite of this? Well, conjugate is like your special cases. So in this case, we are multiplying, or we're subtracting those. We are going to multiply by 7, square root of 7, plus the square root of 2. Remember, this is like differences. And what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So the top, you'd FOIL that through. You'd end up with 10 square root 7 plus 10 square root 2. Try to get that over so you can see it. Okay, so I've done the top. 7 square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is just going to get me 7. Then you're going to do inside. Well, you're going to get negative, or outside, I guess. So you get positive. You get square root of 14, 2 times 7. Keep it in that. Then minus the square root of 14. And then the square root of negative 2 times the square root, you'd end up with a negative 2. Okay? So these are going to cancel out. So you're really going to be with 7 minus 2, which is 5. 10 square root 7 plus 10 square root 2 over 5. You can take 5 out of both of these. You end up with 2 square root 7 plus 2 square root 2. Okay? Because if you're gonna divide here, it has to come out of both of these because you're adding. Okay. On this one, you have negative 3 over the square root of 10 plus the square root of 5. So you're gonna multiply by the conjugate again. So multiply this by this. So you're gonna have square root of 10 minus the square root of 5. When you multiply by the conjugate, the only thing you switch is you make this a negative. What you do to the bottom, you must do the top. Square root of 10 minus square root of 5. Okay, doing the bottom real quick. You get 10 or square root of 10 times the square root of 10, which would get you square root 10 to the second, which would just be 10. Do outside, you're going to get negative square root 50 plus. Doing inside, you're going to get 5 times 10, which is square root of 50, and both of them are positive, so it's plus. Those are going to cancel out, and you're going to get negative 5 square root times square root of 5, which would get you negative square root of 25, which is actually 5. Okay, so 10 minus 5 is going to get you just 5 on the bottom. Okay, now we need to distribute. You got negative 3 square root 10. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3 square root 5 over 5. And I think I ran out of room where you can't see what I'm doing again. So move it over and up and follow through that, and this is your answer right here. Okay, we got one thing left yet. Fiddlehead ferns naturally grow in a spiral that fit into a golden rectangle. What is the width W of the fern? Okay. So we can't do this one because I didn't put enough information on it. If you follow through on the book, you should be fine. It basically gives you what the width of a golden rectangular width should be. So that being said, my bad. Worksheet, there you go. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I should be able to help you.